back, relax, and maybe get yourself a snack. Me and you gonna have a little chat about books. Hey guys! So I'm here today to review a book that I bought as a cover buy, and that is this one, An Unkindness of Magicians by Kat Howard. This book is literally a book that I picked up based off of the absolutely beautiful cover. As you can see, it's just gorgeous, so of course I bought it. And I'd not really heard anything about this author. I didn't know that she wrote short fiction. Apparently she does, and apparently it's very good. And I didn't know that she also had another book called Rot and Ruin, but apparently that one's also good. So now I do. Now I've discovered her, and I'm really happy she has other stuff because this book was really, really good. This is an urban fantasy. It's set in New York, and New York is the heart of the world's power in this world. We follow quite a few different characters. Each of them is somehow connected to magic, although not all of them are very strong in the magic. But we know that there is a tournament about to begin called the Turning, where the houses that are in power right now, the magical houses, the family houses, which are in power right now, are about to be shaken up and the order is about to be shifted. Every so often, it doesn't really have a set time frame, the turning happens and the power balance is shaken up, and every house has to compete in a tournament by putting forward a magician who they're going to have represent them in the kind of battles and duels against other houses. So it's a chance for outsiders to kind of get involved in the power schemes. They can set up their own houses if they defeat enough of the established houses, and it's also a chance for magicians to show off and do something crazy and daring and different. So we're following quite a lot of different characters who all somehow are connected to this. One of the main characters is Sydney, who is an outcaster. She comes from the House of Shadows, which is a very secluded house. Not much is known about what happens there, and it's one of those very well kept secrets that everyone kind of has an idea, but no one wants to think about it, and no one really wants to delve any deeper than surface level. But Sydney is only the second person ever to escape from the House of Shadows, and she does so in style. She comes out and she offers her services to an outsider, and she ends up working for him in order to hopefully gain him a place as a master of a house in the future. She's very powerful. She has a lot of magic. In fact, she has a lot more magic than most people anticipate, and therefore she is a rival to be reckoned with. She's also a super powerful badass who is definitely my favourite character of the book and someone that I would love to see more from in future. She has a fantastic aura about her. She has a real sense of self. She knows what she wants. She's determined. She's resilient. She goes through a lot, and she is definitely powerful. Some of the other characters who we're following include Ian, who is one of the Merlins. He's from the House of Merlin, but he has basically disregarded his title and left the house because he doesn't agree with the way that they practice magic, and so he's representing someone else in this event. We have Harper, who is a young woman who has seen her best friend get killed. She doesn't have a lot of magic. In fact, her best friend was teaching her the magic, and all she's managed to do is light a candle. That's the only thing she has enough magic to do. So she's very weak in magic, but she's strong in personality again. She has a determination to find out what happened and who killed her friend. Her friend was murdered brutally, and she knows that it is something to do with magic. Someone in the magical community has done this to her friend, and she needs to find out who. So she gets involved in working in a records place to try and find out as much information as she can and hopefully uncover the killer. We also have Laurent, who ends up being the man that hires Sydney. So he is an outsider. He is black. He is different from a lot of the people who we currently know in the ruling powers. He's not really got the basis in magic that a lot of the others have. He's kind of an outsider, and so he hires Sydney to hopefully kind of come in and shock people enough to get him a house without realizing just how amazing she can be and just how powerful she can be and what situation he might end up in if she manages to win the whole tournament. Each of these characters feels really fleshed out and individual. I felt like I knew them all by the end of the book, and it's a standalone, so it's completely a story that you can jump into, jump out of, and feel a real sense of satisfaction that the story is done and the world is really cool and the characters are great but it's sorted in one book. It's not an awful long one, I think it's about 400 pages, and it definitely was a quick read too. Once I kind of sat down and got into it, the pacing was really fast and it felt a little bit like it was a mixture of an urban fantasy and a thriller, and it had a lot of great potential to it. I really enjoyed the characters, and the magic of this world is dark, it is twisty, it is something that claws at you, it is something that is kind of like tendrils getting inside you, and it turns out that there's a lot more to the House of Shadows and the magic and how they're linked than meets the eye, and we find out about this through Sydney as the story goes on. I really enjoyed the way that everything connected and was explained in this book. I felt like it was done really solidly and felt very, very easy to get into, even though it is fully established and fleshed out. It has that basis in reality because it is set in New York that helps it to just feel really immediate and fun to get into, and I like that a lot. I think I probably said before on my channel that I'm not a huge fan of urban fantasy. It takes a lot for me to find a series that I really like with urban fantasy elements, but this is definitely a book that I really like in an urban fantasy setting, and it did remind me at times of the Split World series by Emma Newman, which is one of my all-time favourite series, and yet it was individual, it was unique, it didn't feel like it was following that, it just felt like it had similar vibes and gave me similar feelings as when I was reading that series. Overall, it was a super solid read, definitely a beautiful book, and one that I think more of you should own, so definitely go and look it up if you haven't already heard of it, and I hope that you'll read it and let me know what you think of it. I ended up giving it a really strong 4.5 out of 5 stars, and I will definitely be picking up more by this author in future. Thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you very soon in my next video. Bye guys!
Thank you for watching my video today. Go pick up a book, then come back and chat with me again.